Hi everyone, welcome back to Wesno's Tech News and Reviews. Today we're going to be discussing the 5 latest smartwatches from Amazfit. So it actually starts with the GTS 2 Mini, the GTS 2E, the GTR 2E, and then the flagships, GTR 2 as well as the GTS 2. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'll take you through these 5 watches. I'll be explaining where the differences are, where the gaps are, and then of course where the commonalities and the overlaps are. We'll go through the price, we'll go through the features and functions on these watches so you would actually know which of these watches suit your budget as well as your purpose best. Let's get into it. If you are new to Wesno's Tech News and Reviews, we talk about the latest tech news. We do brutally honest reviews and share hacks and tricks along the way. Before we get into the details, I want to cover off a couple of the points that the Amazfit smartwatches do. And that's across the range. And I think that's really great because these core functionalities are quite advanced as they are. So first of all of the smartwatches, so the aforementioned 5, include inbuilt dual GPS. All of them can continuously monitor your heart rate, as well as continuously monitoring your stress level. All the smartwatches are 5 ATM water resistant. All 5 can monitor 3 sleep stages. So that's your light, your deep, and REM sleep. On top of that, they can actually monitor your naps as long as they're over 20 minutes long. And what's really great is that all of the Amazfit watches have SpO2 readings. So you can actually monitor your blood oxygen saturation. Okay, it is an on-demand and spot reading, so it's just at a point in time, but nonetheless, it's there. And of course, as we know it, all of the Amazfit smartwatches, fitness trackers, bands, they all have Pi. So this is your cardiovascular health in just a single value. So all of the smartwatches that we're going to be discussing today have this metric on the watch. Now that we've covered the bases, let's get into some of the differences that we're going to see across the watches as we get through them. So obviously the differences are going to be in the price. Most of these watches do cost differently. There's 3 different levels. So the GTS 2 Mini is the cheapest of the range. Then you've got the GTS 2E as well as the GTR 2E. So they're actually sitting right bang in the middle. And then you've got the flagships, which are obviously the most dear or the most expensive of the range. And that's the GTR 2 as well as the GTS 2. And you will see that there are differences in display size, display pixel density, so the resolution. Of course, there will be a slight difference in the type of screen. So on ones you will get 2.5D, where there's just slight curvature around the edges, while on the flagship watches you're going to get 3D screens, which actually means that you get curvature around the middle of the screen as well as the edges. Another major difference is the number of sport profiles available on the watches, as well as the features and functions such as availability of a microphone, a speaker, availability of certain apps, something like your guided and breathing apps, and so forth. There are plenty of things to discuss, to showcase in this review and comparison. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the cheapest watch in the range, and that's the GTS 2 Mini. Then we're going to get into the GTR 2E as well as the GTS 2E. And then we'll finish off with the flagships. The GTS 2 Mini has a 1.55-inch AMOLED display. It's bright, 450 nits bright. Actually, it weighs almost nothing at just under 20 grams with the straps on. Dimensions are almost square with 40.5 by 35.8 millimeters, and it's very slender at just 8.95 millimeters, or let's just call it 9 millimeters thick. The resolution on the AMOLED display is 354 by 306 pixels, and that gives you a 301 PPI density. Now, this is actually the lowest pixel density that you will see on the Amazfit smartwatch range. Nonetheless, the GTS 2 Mini actually will set you back just 80 pounds or 80 bucks. So this is as budget as you can go for a smartwatch with inbuilt GPS, 70 goal-based sport modes. It's got some really cool apps on it. There's a Bluetooth camera. There's a Pomodoro clock to improve your time management. There's also a world clock and many more of the usual and the core functionalities that we're just not going to be discussing because that's just too simple. We are talking about the advanced, the really awesome features on the Amazfit smartwatches. And now let's talk about the middle range. So the GTR 2E as well as the GTS 2E. So these ones actually have a claim to fame. Well, two. First of all, they look exactly like their flagship counterparts, but with some shortcuts, except for the battery. The battery is larger in both, and actually the manufacturer claims that with typical usage, you will have approximately 24 days of battery life with these watches. Now, in my experience, I can say that I've managed to get a solid 2 weeks, sometimes up to 16 days on these two watches. First, let's talk about the GTS 2E. So its dimensions are 42.8 by 35.6 millimeters. It's very slim at just 9.9 millimeters. The rather large watch weighs just 25 grams without the straps or 31 grams with the straps on. There's a single button on the right side of the watch face, and notice the fact that now the button or the digital crown is actually shielded just like you get on the classic timepieces. The display is humongous. It's a 1.65-inch Super Retina AMOLED display with 2.5D glass and boasts 348 by 442 pixels or 341 ppi. This is actually the highest in the range. You can operate the smartwatch with your voice, so you can open apps without actually touching or tapping the watch. You can open music. You basically operate the watch via voice control. And if we look at the GTR 2E, well, it's basically the same functionality as the GTS 2E, but it has a circular dial. And here the screen, and here the display size is 1.39 inch. It's also AMOLED. The resolution is 454 by 454 pixels, and that's giving us 326 ppi. Albeit the smaller screen size in terms of surface area, the watch does feel and look larger. Hence, if your wrist size is small to medium, then the GTR 2 and the 2E can look a bit too large. So make sure you know and you appreciate how large this watch face is. Now, once again, the GTR 2E as well as the GTS 2E have 90 sport modes. All of them are goal-based. In fact, you get 6 sport profiles which are auto-detected. And these are outdoor running, treadmill, walking, outdoor cycling, pool swimming, and elliptical workouts. The GTR 2E as well as the GTS 2E smartwatches will set you back either £120 or $120. So we're talking about 50% more expensive than the GTS 2 Mini. But then of course you do get the huge AMOLED displays. They're much larger, they're much brighter. You do have a bit of faster CPU, so the actual navigation of the smartwatch is a bit smoother, the experience is nicer. I think we can talk about the flagship now, and the most premium model of the two flagships is the GTR 2. So the GTS 2, the GTR 2 will have exactly the same functionalities, but if we talk about looks, if we talk about the actual display specs, then the GTR 2 is the winner. And these two watches will set you back £160 or $160 each. So we're looking at a third more expensive than the middle range, the 2Es. So as we've discussed it, the 2E range have the microphone. The flagship range additionally has a speaker. So with these speakers, you can not only speak into your watch to voice control it, you can actually take calls, Bluetooth calls off your watch face. So you will be able to speak into the watch as well as hear the other person on the other line from your watch coming from the speaker. On top of that, you can play music. Your alerts are not just the haptic alerts anymore, so it's not just the vibrations. You can actually hear the alarms go off now. There are also 90 sport modes here. And these 90 sport modes are actually brought down or broken down into 12 different sections, such as outdoor sports, combat sports, dance, and so forth. And then of course, the premium, well, it should be premium. And we get that because we get 3 GB of allocated audio or media storage for your watches. So when you do go in those long cycles or those long runs, you can listen to quite a lot of music or whatever audio you want to stream from your watch to your earbuds or directly off it. If we talk about battery life, then of course the battery life is a bit shorter than on the 2Es. So the manufacturer does claim 14 days or 2 weeks. I've experienced 6 to 8 days. So a solid 1 week will get you through. That's with typical usage. I doubt you will be able to pump out any more battery life out of it if you do have the GPS on a couple of times a week. I hope you found this review and comparison useful, because Amazfit have basically landed so many smartwatches lately that I thought we just need a video where we can look at all of them together in one video and sort of have a head-to-head by spec comparison. So if you did find this useful, then please drop us a like. And if you want to see more of the same, then please subscribe by hitting the red subscribe button below the video. And I'll see you in the next one.